Dr. Stewart's diary, 29th September morning. Last night, at a little before 10 o'clock, Arthur and Quincy came into Van Helsing's room. He told us all that he wanted us to do, but especially addressing himself to Arthur, as if all our wills were centered in his. He began by saying he hoped we would all come with him too, for, he said, there is grave duty to be done there. You were doubtless surprised at my letter? This query was directly addressed to Lord Godalming. I was. It rather upset me for a bit. There's been so much trouble around my house as of late, that I could do without any more. I have been curious, too, as to what you mean. Quincy and I talked it over, but the more we talked, the more puzzled we got. Till now, I could say for myself, I am about up a tree as to any meaning about anything. Me too, said Quincy more or less laconically.
It's time for Dracula Weekly. It's time for Dracula Weekly. Come in of your own free will. Welcome to Dracula Weekly. I am your host, Jasmine Garcia, and joining me today are...
Shamila Karnakaran, and you know it's spooky month when the entries start getting denser and denser.
God.
And my name is Callie, and for a book that we claim is all about spooky month, how are we almost done with it at spooky month's beginning?
Yeah, so the funny thing is, dear listeners, at least if you go by the official Dracula Daily book, this week was like 90 pages, and now we only have about 40 pages left before the end of the book.
Wild.
Yeah, it was a lot. But really, you could actually very easily sum it up with just Lucy has her second death, the Avengers are assembling, but unfortunately Mina is getting preyed on by Dracula now, and Dracula is trying to fuck off back to Austria, but they're going to be following him. And also, oh yeah, Renfield died.
Let me play him a song on the world's smallest violin.
I mean, in fairness,
And it's such a footnote too. The only reason he's dead is because Arthur poked in on him to see what was going on, and he's dead already.
Yeah, and in fairness, he was at his most lucid in this portion of the book.
And it is more xenophobic. Ugh.
Like, yeah, there was a xenophobic line about that, though you could argue it's a case of a marginalized person being marginalized and therefore taken out on another, I guess, arguably marginalized person. I don't actually know how poorly treated the Dutch were by English people at this time. Meanwhile, no one is listening to him when he's just like, yeah, you should get me out of here.
No, they sure weren't.
You okay, Callie?
I'm fine.
Okay, for sure. I know that whole thing has always been a sore spot for you, and understandably so.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go violently hurl things at people.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
I mean, I guess you could join the anti-Dracula team. I mean, we're already anti-Dracula on this podcast, even more so now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I already planned on it.
I know. Yep.
No, you can join Quincy by shooting at him when he's in bad form. I can't believe we had this scene this whole time. It was just as Van Helsing revealed Dracula's name, everyone jumps because Quincy has shot at something outside, and then he's like, no, everything's okay. There was just a bat outside.
And then by the end, he's just like, listen, why don't we just all get some Winchesters? Which,
I'm on the highway to hell.
There we go.
It was illegal.
I'm honestly shocked that you didn't sing "Carry On My Wayward Son."
That one's in the pilot.
I know.
That was a more obscure reference.
But sure.
It is, like, because it's not in the Netflix version.
Ah, fair enough.
You gotta be an OG to know that.
You got a point, although, to be honest, it's not shocking that Supernatural had The Highway to Hell on its soundtrack at one point. That's very in keeping.
No, but it's in the pilot, but then they took it out for Netflix reasons.
Yeah, because they didn't have the rights. Bummer. But yeah, it's very funny because Quincy is a typical American in the one way where it's just like, why don't we just shoot the problem?
Well, he's definitely more pragmatic. He's the common sense of the group, along with Mina.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a solution. It's right here in my hand. I'll be right back.
It's called a bullet.
It's very simple. Just follow me. I got this. Let me teach you the American way.
And what else is the American way, apparently? Leaving the woman out.
Van Helsing.
We expected better of you, and it was literally out of nowhere as well.
Like just this idea that Mina can't handle it, even though he was saying over and over that she had a quote unquote man's brain, which is problematic of itself, of course. But
we don't have time to unpack all of that.
But wouldn't you know it? The lesson of this segment was, hey, maybe listen to the marginalized, or you're gonna regret it. Like, if Mina had been with them, Dracula
she would have been targeted. And she's been in the asylum, staying 2 doors down from Renfield this entire time, and people thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, bro. And yeah, I realize we're starting to sound like broken records here, but it really does boggle my mind that Mina and Dracula ever came to be a viable romantic ship after that fucking scene.
Well, I gotta bring it up. I'll give Dylan and Dalton this. That opening to House Dracula sure makes a lot more fucking sense now.
Yeah, that's true. Dracula just loves to humiliate the Harkers.
That scene sure makes more sense. That didn't come out of nowhere.
Nope. And literally, I forgot that this is the point where Jonathan's hair turned white, because it had been a while since I originally read Dracula, but I initially thought when we were going into this that his hair was gonna go white after the whole brain fever thing, and I was like, wait, why is his hair still dark? And then this happens.
I mean, that it does make sense that you thought that, though, because the Francis Ford Coppola movie had his hair turn white after the brain fever thing. I distinctly remember his hair was white at his wedding. But, it makes sense that Go ahead.
I hope he gets his pretty brunette or whatever color his hair is normally back.
No, unless he dyes it, I think.
Yeah, there's actually a lot that never really gets described in this. So the fact that in most adaptations Jonathan does have dark hair it's actually kind of funny how that sort of thing happens. Or that Mina has dark hair. She's never really described as that either.
Nope, the only description we get of anyone besides Van Helsing is Lucy being fair, and that's we automatically assume she's quote-unquote blonde.
Yeah, that's fair. And even then, most adaptations make her a redhead these days.
Which is fascinating.
But, yeah, trigger warning, I guess, dear listeners. It's actually kind of brutal. Dracula's got kind of both of the Harkers in kind of trance. Jonathan's just sitting there while Dracula literally makes Mina drink from his chest.
Sure, why not?
And then he manhandles her into drinking from Jonathan's chest after that. Oh, and the way it's described is so brutal.
Yeah, I mean, the metaphor is there, unfortunately. And, like, Mina's response to it lines up with it, unfortunately. Like,
yeah.
She feels she literally out and out says she feels unclean after that. And it has suicidal ideations. It is brutal.
It's on site.
Mm-hmm. You think this is funny, Drac? Let's see if you're laughing now when I give you a swirly in a vat of garlic soup.
I'll wait.
How are you going to give him a swirly in a vat of garlic soup, though?
I can figure it out.
Fair enough.
You make a big enough pot.
Exactly.
The whole reason it's a swirly is, the flushing.
Exactly. I just fill a toilet around the toilet with it.
Sure, why not? I mean, it's disgusting, but honestly, it's what he deserves.
Yeah.
Exactly. Also, Arthur and Quincy are in a relationship. I will not be taking questions at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, Arthur and Quincy really were the best of the suitors. Seward still kind of sucks.
Seward, he just really sealed the deal off him when he was describing that whole scene as a kitten trying to teach as a cat trying to teach a kitten how to drink milk. No. Oh.
What is wrong with you?
I mean, also, I like the fact we didn't even touch upon the fact that Lucy really touched upon the fact that the suitors in Van Helsing saw Lucy's vampiric self, and I had known that they kind of how they described Lucy in the book was very in keeping with the whole puritanical Victorian thing, where it's just like, oh, it's bad that she's a sexy vampire now, but
Seward literally describes her as voluptuous and monstrous at one point, all in the same breath.
Yeah, but when you think about it, it's only Seward who sees you really thinking that. Arthur is almost taken in because obviously he adores her, and Seward is like immediately like, "Yep, nope, don't love you anymore. You are scary, ma'am." And it's just like, you really suck, Seward.
You suck. I understand why he's scared, but if woman's scary, why hot?
I can see why Lucy turned you down, bud. I really can.
Uh-huh.
When do I get to throw this man off a cliff?
Someday.
Someday.
But
someday his cliff will come.
Sure. Yeah. But I did find it interesting how there was really this emphasis on by killing the vampire, you are saving the soul, basically.
Yeah.
Most vampires.
It's like a vampirism as an infection too.
Yeah, which that is something that's very common in vampire media these days. Like a lot of the times they portray it as a literal plague, or there's that one book series where it's essentially an STI.
Yeah, and speaking of the plague, the rats.
Mad.
Crazy that's actually originally a Dracula line.
I've used all my references for this episode, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, but literally swarms and swarms of thousands of rats like flooding the place, and then the dogs that they can't even enter the threshold with Arthur lifting them over it.
There are some good rat-catching doggos that are helping them, which I think is delightful.
And no doggos were harmed this time.
Yes.
Good doggos.
Dracula would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids and their rat-catching dogs.
And I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling Polycul and your dumb dog.
Well, it's multiple dogs.
That's why I said this. That said dogs, plural, but, whatever.
It did
Yeah.
come out
Let me
that
try that again then. Hang on. And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you meddling Polycul and your dumb dogs.
way. There you go.
There you go.
But listen, guys, we need some levity. It's this is a rough batch, and not even just because it was again 90 fucking pages.
And Jazz and I are still in the recovery period from last week. We need about 7 to 12 business days.
Meanwhile, I've been just been live chatting. I mean, live tweeting in the chat for each entry, and most of my things are like, "No, Jonathan, you gotta check. Mina being paler than usual is the first sign. Dracula already got to her."
Yep, like all this time they were trying to keep her safe. Actually kept her in Dracula's clutches. Good job, misogyny.
Because Renfield invited him in.
Yep, they had like this mental link, and literally he's just like, yeah, if I say come, you are going to do whatever it takes to come to me. Like, yeah.
Oh, that
Come
line
to
he had.
me, angel of music.
Wrong Universal monster.
Nurse.
That was the joke.
I know, but still.
No, but that line of him going, "Now all your women belong to me too." It's like if Mina was not linked to him, then she would have hit him. She would have hit him for her and for Lucy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm aware it was the wrong monster, but it made me laugh nonetheless.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, there's a lot of overlap in terms of behavior of these monsters. Most of these monsters are basically the whole idea, oh, there's this strange man trying to take our women. usually a
Strange
metaphor.
foreign man.
Yep, either a metaphor for foreign people or people with disfigurements or disabilities. Great job, Victorian era.
You're doing great. A+.
Also, no one wants to know what an elephant's soul tastes like, Renfield. But we do get an explanation for what all the flies were. That was how Dracula was giving him messages.
Yep, well that, and also he truly believed he was eating their life force to make sure he lived longer. But yeah.
Man, if someone rewrote that book, I would really love that entire bit redone.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But you know what? I would love to hear what you would do with Renfield if you were given the chance to do a rewrite.
I'd need time because I'm too mad right now.
That's fair. Because that's the thing. Like, he's one of those characters that is pretty much always adapted in Dracula adaptations, or there's usually somebody kind of like Renfield. Like, I hate to bring up the Buffy episode, but even that had some smatterings of Renfield, and it was Xander, so that's actually kind of satisfying in hindsight.
Or, like, I do like, I'm gonna bring it up, I apologize. Dracula Lives had Renfield, and that was at least an interesting take.
Yep, he's basically just, like, they absolutely still make him an obsessive simp, but they kind of make him almost a threat as a result, which was very cool, yes.
He was poisoning Dracula. That was neat.
Yeah, good. I almost want to say good for him, but he's a creep.
Both can be true.
Yep.
But, like, I just... One, I'd get rid of the whole insanity plotline for sure. I don't know what I would do instead, but...
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The whole idea is that he's not actually mentally ill. It's like Dracula messing with his head.
I get that. I do get that, bestie.
And in the right hands, you could really do something harrowing and make it an actual commentary on how poorly treated the mentally ill are. There's this person who just needs a little help, but they don't want to help him properly, and it's only getting worse as his mind is being fucked with by this vampire, and no one will believe him. Or hell, her even, or them.
Oh yeah, because there's that one play that does make Renfield a woman.
Huh.
do they address any of those aspects, or
some of it? But they also say that because there is a lot of like misogyny in play of how Renfield is treated, especially since we're going by the idea of her being an abused woman as well.
Right, that makes sense.
Ugh.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not even particularly interesting a lot. Like, it really goes to show that just because it's a classic doesn't necessarily mean there's no room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
This is going under my Storygraph reading challenge of classics that people tell you everybody says you need to read but are actually mid.
Do you think the book is mid so far?
Because a lot of it is focusing on Renfield and Stewart, and it feels like I'm just reading a copy paste every day.
Yeah, that's true. It does get very redundant. So in a way, I guess it is good they're finally closing that storyline. But of course, they actually start making him somewhat interesting in his last few chapters.
Actually got Renfield lore like literally that day when all the boyfriends and Van Helsing are in like listening in on him, and he introduces himself to Arthur, saying that he was Arthur's dad's second, which I'm assuming that means he helped him in a duel of sorts.
Possibly. And yeah, like that's the whole tragedy of it all, and unfortunately it's not really conveyed very well in the original novel.
Hey Bram, stop trying to make Stewart happen. It's not going to happen.
It's very funny that you keep mispronouncing his name. Is that on purpose, or
they don't care?
I'm just that
valid.
Stewart.
Whatever.
Y'all know damn well who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a generic white boy.
Most likely.
That tells you how little I give a fuck about him.
Yeah. No, when we could be getting more Quincy. Because honestly, like, he really has so much of the brain cell in these chapters. Like, he's the only one thinking about how to get into the other house without alerting anyone. And, like, when Arthur has the idea of, like, rolling up to the house in carriages, he says, no, that's too flashy. You're gonna give yourself away. Just get a cab.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Arthur is a nobleman, so the common sense is not always their strongest suit. And the same goes for Stewart. He's overeducated.
Quincy is my soft southern boy, and I love him, and he is soft and wholesome, and I will protect.
And yeah, I'm inclined to agree that Arthur and Quincy are just finding comfort in one another's arms in an ideal world.
Like, they were literally not asleep together, if Callie gets what I'm saying.
They were definitely not asleep together. Not at all.
Wink, wink, wink.
No Oscar Wilde shenanigans here.
I mean, I brought up the Oscar Wilde Vampire Dracula connections before, so we won't go into that anymore.
No.
But
going back to the rats, since we're gonna bring it up here. Jazz, all I could think about when I read those rats was love never dies. Fuck those rats.
I mean, you could argue the Raven in that continuity is kind of Carmilla's Renfield.
Oh my fucking god!
I'm only a little sorry.
You shouldn't be sorry at all!
Shami, there's so much background that we don't have time for.
We'll explain once...
What?
Well, you'll explain later. But they also, this week, Van Helsing and the boyfriends, they did an unexpected Scooby pile when they were breaking open the door. The boyfriend loved it himself the time, but Van Helsing is the one that falls.
Yeah, honestly, somebody do a Hanna-Barbera style adaptation of Dracula. I think it'd be hilarious.
Please.
Oh, but on top of everything else, on top of all the atrocities that he's done to the Harkers, Dracula burnt down all the manuscript and photograph records.
Yeah, motherfucker.
It's the Library of Alexandria all over again.
Except
But
for
luckily,
vampire
Mina had
hunting.
the foresight to do copies. Those are safe.
Yep, Mina makes a hell of a secretary on top of everything else. Is there nothing our girl can't do?
I have a gift for that.
Also,
There's
Mina
a Nick Miller. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, there's just a Nick Miller gift where he's like, I'm a very good secretary.
Also, wait. Also, Mina recognized the scar on Dracula's forehead as the place where Jonathan hit him with the shovel. It's like, she knows her man so well. She knows him so well.
She does. No, oh my god. Like, we've been gushing over what a good couple they are throughout this whole book, but it's really reached zenith in this part because Mina is very possibly turning into a vampire, and Jonathan's immediately like, okay, if that does happen, I'm gonna be following her because she's not going through this alone. I just... like, somebody really put it perfectly in the book. Let me pull it up. There we go. This is from Kasterin Erzabet from Twitter. The way that adaptations make Mina and Jonathan into bland, dutiful love really misses out on what makes them great. They're both just a little bit feral under the surface and ready to do absolutely anything and everything for each other. And that includes becoming undead if it should come to it. Like, I'm sorry, is that not one of the most romantic things you've ever heard in your goddamn life?
Carmela
It's
would
the
approve.
princess. It's the Princess Bride level shit.
Except, yeah, no, not only will death not stop true love, not only will it won't even get the chance to delay it for a little while.
Truly.
Yes. Whew.
Ugh.
For levity, I put the gif in the chat.
Sure.
Also,
yeah.
for more levity, Quincy's now having a beef with bats. He's like shooting random ones.
Yeah,
I
Quincy.
got you, you motherfucker! I got you.
Quincy, don't shoot all the bats, please. They're important for the ecosystem. Not all of them are vampires, I promise.
But
And even
he doesn't know.
I know. I'm just saying I hope he doesn't make a habit out of it.
He's the goodest. He's the goodest Southern boy. Leave him alone.
But also, interestingly enough, I caught two lines that I had heard prior to reading this. First off, the fact when Van Helsing's all, there are such thing as vampires. That's actually one of the last lines from the 30s movie.
Oh.
And weirdly enough, another line specifically from Mina unlocked a core memory because it was used in an episode of Degrassi.
Oh, yeah.
When they were doing a play version of Dracula. This was specifically the episode where Emma got gonorrhea.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that fucking episode.
Yeah. And of course they're doing a play version of Dracula because, again, vampires have often been metaphors for sexuality and disease, and why not bring them together for the STI episode?
Obviously.
And so, like, soon as, like, basically while she's starting to figure out that she has that, what have I done? What have I done to deserve such a fate? I who have tried to walk in meekness and righteousness all my days. So, that's been... Which, yeah, obviously, in the context of the actual book, it's even more heart-wrenching. Like, god damn. But also... And that is why it is so satisfying that Jonathan's able to threaten him with a fucking knife.
A kukri knife, which, well, those of you who aren't history nerds like me, it's...
Yes, please.
Like, this really big bent knife that they used in the British military, and it was originally a Nepalese weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, more scars for Dracula. He's gonna be black and blue by the end of the novel.
Honestly, good. Fuck that guy. Just
okay, and also they do manage to find most of the dirt boxes. There's still just one left, so please let that be resolved soon. But like Dracula is literally like absconded off to whoever knows what with it. But I had this image of him like carrying it, like running around with it, like with his arms like it's a baby.
I love that.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
And yeah, like this group of mostly pretty ordinary people have got him running for the hills, and I think that's really satisfying.
It is. You can run, but you can't hide.
No, but he's like, no. They make him out to be such a big threat, but immediately whenever there's pushback, he just hisses and runs off like a stray cat.
I mean, ain't that always the way with bullies?
Yeah.
Truly. It's why bullying works.
Yep, you gotta bully the bullies back sometimes. But okay, do we have anything else we want to say? Like I said, for
the mind link, Mina she pulled a reverse Uno, like spying on Dracula through the mind link by having Helen Helsing hypnotize her.
Yeah, that I'll admit I'm a little confused on how that works, but it is kind of awesome, and it wouldn't even be the last time that something that I feel like nowadays is pretty much only used by the vampires in vampire media was used by the good guys, because they did use it not in the Dracula movie, but they did use it in Dracula's Daughter. So it's like this weird push and pull between the vampire hypnosis and the psychology hypnosis. Mind you, the psychology hypnosis ended up getting that girl killed in Dracula's Daughter, so maybe that's not a great example. She got scared to death.
Not good. Also, if I had a nickel for every time Dracula used a Russian ship to go back and forth between England and Transylvania, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Yeah, it feels like he just kind of has the same playbook every time. It's almost like he's too old to come up with new plans.
Also, I kind of want to know, what did Quincy give to the captain to make him stop swearing? Because apparently it crackles when it rolls up.
Good question. I don't have an answer for that, to be honest.
Also, the straw hat!
Yes. Turns out the straw hat is in fact canon, because we've talked about Mina and Lucy's Guide to Slaying Dracula before on this podcast. And
I thought it was fake, but it turns out no. But it wasn't a farmer's hat. It's most likely a boater hat, like those big weird big straw hats, or like those they actually have straw bowlers too. So the idea of Dracula wearing one is hilarious.
Yeah, I think straw hats were just actually more fashionable in the Victorian era than we might expect them to be. Because, you were kind of expected to always be wearing a hat back in public back then. And obviously using fabric isn't always going to work out in the summer, so you do straw. From my limited knowledge of this whole thing, mind you. But, yeah.
This was a long week.
It's been a long week. And we are nearing the end, my dears. We are on the last month of Dracula Weekly.
I'm really sad.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
I'm glad. Well, I mean, we still have some time, and, we still are going to hopefully stop the time loop, because I don't know about you, but especially after that segment, I never want
We do not need another repeat. No.
I never want the Harkers to go through this shit again.
Ever.
So much trauma. This episode is just trauma.
So much trauma.
Oh, the communion wafer scarf. We forgot to mention that.
Yes.
Yeah, that I don't get that, but maybe that's just because it's a different, different world than I'm from. I don't know.
Well, okay, so it's a very, very Catholic coded book, and, Europeans, they took Catholicism and all sorts of, and Protestantism and all their different branches very seriously. It's caused literal schisms in history.
Yeah. It's a lot. But basically, if it's related to the Catholic Church, chances are a vampire or someone who is turning into a vampire is going to get stung by it. And, like, Mina couldn't even hold silverware, man!
Oh.
That's just wrong!
That is very wrong. Like, what in the fuck?
Alright, do we have anything else we want to discuss?
There is something very sweet about, like, after that whole ordeal, like, Quincy offers to, like, keep watch over Mina and Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see too much of their dynamic together, but I want to see more of it. They're so sweet.
Yeah, this really was kind of the Avengers Assemble portion, at least at the very beginning, because all these characters who actually hadn't really been interacting very much finally got to meet up. Unfortunately, after we had lost Lucy forever.
Mm-hmm. And Lucy is still brought up within like conversations, and it's like with Jonathan, literally when he sees like Mina struggling with slowly turning into a vampire, he's immediately reminded of Lucy.
Yeah, it's like, in a way, this is all happening because of her in her name.
And it's so it's wholesome, and Jonathan loves her so much.
Jonathan loves Mina, Mina loves Jonathan. And how fucking dare Hollywood make us forget that?
Audacity.
Again, the genie's already out of the bottle, so I'm not going to begrudge anybody from writing romantic Dracula for now, because, again, way too late to stop doing that. We're past that.
But don't make Mina the love interest. Don't make Mina the love interest.
I mean, again, that we're well past that. That genie is out of the bottle. But
it'd be more fresh if they paired him with Van Helsing. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no, I don't disagree. But yeah, it's just this. I know we're making jokey jokes as always, but this part was really sad.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, Callie, and also the thing is though, speaking of Mina, even after all of this, she finds room in her heart to have pity for Dracula, because if Lucy's soul was trapped by being a vampire, imagine how trapped his soul must be, is her logic. And it's just like, God damn, Mina Harper, we do not deserve you. We do not deserve you, Miss Mina. Oh, and also Dracula, one of Dracula's aliases is literally Count DeVille.
DeVille! Ugh. Do not put him and Cruella in the same room. They're gonna go after all the dogs.
Yeah, God, no. Though now I gotta wonder, is she a vampire too? It might explain some things.
Huh. Also, I don't know how I feel about Dracula being compared to a tiger. On one hand, with the way that Van Helsing puts it kind of leans a little bit into the Orientalism of it all. Yeah. On the other hand, Dracula is also too scrunkly for something as, like, powerful as a tiger.
Tigers are majestic fucking creatures. I would not call Dracula majestic.
No.
He does not deserve that.
Not in the slightest.
Yep, we'll probably just leave him as a rat. Because I'm pretty sure this is where they got the plague idea for the original Nosferatu.
Oh yeah, most certainly. You had some language things to bring up, because the term Nosferatu was even mentioned here.
Yeah, because Van Helsing literally described the creatures as Nosferatu. It is not the Romanian word for vampire. That is vampire. And it's probably one of two things. It's probably like an English corruption of the Romanian word necratu, which means unclean spirit, or the Greek word nosophoros, which means bringer of the plague. Gee, wonder where they got that idea from.
Yep, and they would go on to use it for a not strictly speaking legal adaptation of Dracula that is now getting a really kick-ass looking remake this year.
It's going to be interesting to say the least.
Yep. Too bad it's coming out in December, because that would be weird if we addressed that.
So true.
But anyway, if we don't have any further thoughts, shall we let Callie do the predictions?
What was that other thought I had? I swear I need to keep better track of my notes.
It's hard. There's a lot.
Not the thing. Oh, the accents! Why is it always the written out incomprehensible accents? Are you trying to say something about working class people's Bram?
I don't know if he's trying to say it, but I'm sure he had at least unconscious biases against him. He was.
Anyways, predictions.
Yes.
Predictions. Mina is going to look like she might turn into a vampire. She won't, but it's going to look. It's going to be kind of.
We're kind of already there.
Yeah, but it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay, fair enough. So it's like we're going to be right on the edge before we finally pull her back. Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Shenanigans will continue to ensue with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
More Scooby-Doo shenanigans.
I mean, they're currently planning on chasing Dracula down. They're not trying to make time. They're trying to make contact with the Dracula, who is a creeper.
Let's see what else.
Will Jonathan and Quincy have scenes together?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. And then I think that Dracula will continue to be a scaredy cat.
Well, that's a given.
Well, yeah, but
for such an all-powerful vampire, you sure don't like any kind of pushback, huh, Drac? Interesting.
Kind of a little bitch, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. No wonder Carmilla could push him around.
Yep. So, what do you think? Are we going to start losing more people, Callie?
Probably.
Uh-huh.
I feel like Quincy's probably next to go, and I cry about it.
Oh.
My sweet soft boy.
I'm so sorry if that's true.
Oh.
I will cry. I can't handle any more.
I know.
No more.
I know.
Which is why we gotta stop the time loop.
Yeah, and
I'm still in my 7 to 12 business days of recovery.
I know, we all are. Jesus fucking Christ.
Ugh.
You've taken way too fucking much from us, Drac.
The irony that Drac saved the day is not lost on me, though.
Not in the novel, Shami, and the podcast.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
In the same way the T-Rex saved the day at the end of Jurassic Park. I mean, that's more or less the comparison they've constantly made. And also, I would argue not at all, considering hell is still on Earth, Callie. Hell has still broken loose.
But, like, Nick's not dead?
True. So that means there may be hope? Question
mark? Yeah. We gotta find our positives. But our negatives that he has 2 of the 3 souls that he needs in hell, but he doesn't have Nick's.
Whew. Anyway.
That can get cut because it's irrelevant.
No, it's okay. Anyway, any final thoughts, or shall we go into plugs?
Shout out
Drac,
to the
it's on.
canonical. Shout out to the canonical mention of Chinese vamps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. We had
Yeah.
talked about it last episode. Go figure.
Go figure indeed.
We summoned it. So that does mean that those rigor mortis motherfuckers do exist in this universe, probably.
Yeah,
That's kind of awesome.
That is so cool.
But yeah, plugs.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My name is Callie, and you can find me at the various socials and the link in the description. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Letterboxd. I'm on Twitter. I refuse to call it X because that's not a real thing. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all the places. If you want to find me, I'm probably there. Blue Sky, all of it. I'm gonna do one more plug of the solo before the EP comes out. If you could please go to listen to Hell Breaks Loose by Dalton DeShane and the Traveling Show, wherever you find your music. We're trying to keep them and their band on the alternative playlist on Apple Music and Spotify. And the music video is just really good. If you like Beetlejuice, you'll like the music video vibes. If you could give it a listen, we'd really appreciate it. Support indie artists, support indie music, and check out something new. Check out something different. Always good to try something new.
And you can find me on the online news on Tumblr, where I post listicles and graphics, and where you can commission me for all your fancast requests.
Oh, one more thing, Jess. If you could also please find your local charities to give to support the disaster relief out in the Carolinas. They've been hit pretty hard. I don't personally have any family out there. I don't have family out in Georgia, but I do have friends that live out in that area, in Georgia specifically. They're all fine, thankfully, but if you could please give to charities like the United Way and other groups that are getting water and supplies out to these people who desperately need it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you have the ability, that would be super appreciated. These people are in need. The water facilities are going to have to be rebuilt, some of them, because they were so severely damaged. They can't get supplies in because the roads were so damaged. So if you guys could please if you have the ability to donate, please donate to these places that need your help. They were already impoverished and now they've lost everything. So if you guys could please help out with them, I would be super appreciative of that.
Yep, definitely seconded. And yep, that's it for now. And as always, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Faye Riviera. You could also follow the show on Twitter at IER Podcast. And if you would like to help us reach the next chapter of our story, please consider leaving us a review or rating us on the podcatcher of your choice, telling all of your friends and family about us. And even better, if you have room in your wallets, please consider donating to our Patreon, our Ko-Fi page, or just the support the show link below. And now let's close out this week's Dracula Weekly. It is now drawing towards sunset. Mina's uneasiness calls my attention to it. I am sure there is something on her mind, which the time of exact sunset will reveal. These occasions are becoming harrowing times for us all, for each sunrise and sunset opens up some new danger, some new pain, which, however, may in God's will be means to a good end. I write all these things in the diary, since my darling must not hear them now, but if it may be that she can see them again, they shall be ready. She is calling to me.